Sometimes in life it is good to give yourself some space. It is very important to recognize that there's so many things that are revolving around your life, and it is not important to be so hard on yourself. In many cases, you'll find yourself making mistakes in life, and everybody makes mistakes. And making mistakes does not mean that it is wrong. Some mistakes we make in life to help us learn and to know who we are as a person. And therefore, for the last 10 years, I've been in my 20s, and I have learned so many lessons. And I kind of feel like sometimes I have been so hard on myself. So hard on myself in the sense like I do not give myself room to appreciate when I make a mistake. Nobody wants to make a mistake, but sometimes mistakes are important because they help us to realize who we are. They help us to build our character, and as well, they help us to learn and to avoid repeating that. They usually say that, repeating the same mistake, that's what is wrong. And I feel like in the last 10 years, so many things have happened in my life. And I remember back in 2015, I was that young man who had very wild dreams, very wild ambitions, and I had not envisioned life would be like this, the way it is right now. But I remember I was very ready to face life from any angle. And I remember one time I attended a conference that was organized by one of my mentors back in Kenya. And in this conference, there were so many important people. And I remember sharing a table with the then director in the Ministry of Labor within the U.S. Embassy. That time I was still in campus, and I remember my mentor saying that the future is for those who will dare to dream. And by then, I didn't know what exactly that meant, but I really knew that she meant like you have to be out of your comfort zone. I was so ambitious because I wanted to, I had so big dreams that I had envisioned that in my 20s I want to accomplish. And one of them was to finish my undergraduate, and if possible to enroll for my graduate studies. Well, where I come from, having a chance to be in school, and especially at the university level, it is not a common thing for everybody. But I was fortunate to be able to get into that system, navigate so many challenges. Growing up as a young man who was raised in this kind of a community where education was not so much valued, and there was nobody to look up to and say, this is my mentor. This has started up to this level, and he or she has changed himself or in the society in this way. Very few. And I remember when I was joining university, I could count the number of people who had gone to university in my community, and there were less than 5. And so when I realized that this is my chance to go to university, it was a big thing for me. And having in mind, I was the first person in my family to get a chance to go to the university, this really was a big thing for me. And when I had this lady who was my mentor talk about the future and the greatness that belongs to those who will dare to dream. You know, I, I could see myself in the middle of two different faces, or I would say parts, because in that room there were very prominent people, big names, and there was myself. There was myself, who is this young man from this with this background where nobody has ever experienced success in any way or has ever achieved the level of education of some of the people who are in that room. And I could see myself as that poor kid, that poor young man who was raised with all these challenges. And again, I could see myself in those people who are present in that room. And I could see myself, being in such conferences and in big events, but I didn't know how that journey would begin. And when she talked about the future belongs to those who will dare to dream, I didn't get it at the instance, like how that meant, but I was ready to face life, to make challenge, to make risk, to make mistakes. Sometimes I was not being so easy on myself when I made mistakes, and I could regret. But I've come to realize that for the last 10 years, the mistakes that I've made have really made me to be who I am, to be the person that people see, and the character that I carry when I talk to people and I interact with people. And I can say that all these mistakes that I was carrying, that was carrying along, has really shaped me to be who I am. So I'm here just to tell you that don't be so hard on yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. We human beings, we live to make mistakes and to learn from these mistakes. And if you're in your 20s, I believe that's the time that you have the right energy to try things that you've never tried, to take that challenge that you fear, to overcome the fear in your mind that keeps telling you that you cannot do it. Don't listen to those voices, because those voices will convince you, like, what, you're not capable of doing this, you're not good enough to earn this kind of degree, you're not, your family does not come from, like the rich family. You can be the person to break that barrier. So believe in yourself, take risk, go for it. Don't let the voices behind your mind or in your mind or within your environment define who you are. Don't fear to make mistakes. Don't fear to take risk. After all, this life is a risk. In everything we do every day, it's a risk. So there's so much that has really happened in my 20s, and I'll be very happy to share with you guys. But for today, I just want to say welcome to this space. We'll be having these conversations on a weekly basis, so stay tuned. And I am so glad that you sticked with me up to this minute. So see you in the next episode.